Welcome to MLS Now. This is Calen Carr. I'm pleased to be joined by former U.S. international Ramos, of course now U-20 men's national team head coach. Tab, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me on.
So obviously the big news today, you've made the decision, 20 players announced on the final roster for the World Cup in New Zealand this summer. Can you talk a little bit about the strength of the team and what you're most excited about?
Yeah, so this is in general a very exciting day. You know, it's been a year and a half of work to get to this point, including qualification to the World Cup. And so now here we are, a difficult process of selecting and narrowing the roster to 20, 21 players. And unfortunately, you have to leave some players out who are very good players and who are very good professionals. And so that's the difficult part. The good part is that we feel we selected a very strong roster and that this roster will be ready to compete.
You mentioned young professionals. Of course, these are young men, of course. How do you help them sort of deal with that disappointment? Because obviously some of these guys are going to be playing a role in the men's national team picture down the road.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very good question because it is difficult. So when I make that call to let them know that, hey, I'm not picking you for this team because you're not in good form, but I still believe in you, and it's tough to get them to buy into that, to believe that I really do believe in them, but they just happen to be in bad form. And so a good example of that was going into the last U-20 World Cup when I didn't select Jordan Morris or Dylan Serna. And those players are great players, and they were great players at the moment. And at that moment, they were not in good form, and so I didn't pick them. And so this is part of the process. I think this is part of the learning curve for them, and to realize that every time you come to the national team, you have to be in good form because you're playing against the best players who are in their best form. And so, you know, if anything, for the guys that didn't make it, I think this is an experience, another experience, and one that they'll learn from and move on.
So you've announced the 20, the men. Obviously, there's been a lot of speculation about the 21st spot. I think you've been pretty forthright about trying to get Gideon Zalelem from Arsenal to join. Yeah. Exciting player. People are really hoping to see in a U.S. kit. Yeah. What are the chances you think that we'll be able to see that happen this summer?
I don't know, actually. You know, I'm not involved with all the paperwork and whatever else is going on. I know that it's still a possibility, so we left the spot open over the next 5 or 6 days to see if that happens. And if it doesn't, we're ready to go with, you know, Zach Pfeffer. I've spoken with him, and he's ready to go to the World Cup and excited about it. So if that's the case, we are ready regardless.
This is one of the more experienced professional groups, it's funny to say, for an under-20 team, but you have mostly professional players, 7 MLS guys on the roster. How much will you lean on their experience as you enter into a tournament where really you only have 5 days to prove yourself, where you could be a quick trip home?
A lot. I mean, that experience is tremendous for us. You know, the fact that Matt Miazga plays 90 minutes every week for the Red Bulls, and Kellen Acosta plays 90 minutes for FC Dallas, and Jordan Allen plays 90 minutes for RSL, and on and on. I mean, that's a great experience for us going into a World Cup because these are guys who are fighting every day for a professional position, and I think will help going into the World Cup.
You mentioned Matt Miazga here in New York playing regularly. Guys like Bradford Jamieson now emerging for LA Galaxy as regular starters. How much are you involved in the process of talking through their development as they get more time with their clubs?
Well, that's part of our job. So we talk to the players all the time when they come to us. And for us, sometimes when the players go back to their clubs, and specifically in the early part of the cycle when they're not playing with the MLS clubs because they're too young, us talking to them means a lot because when they leave their MLS club, they're just another player at the bottom of the roster. But when they come to us, they're a very important player to us, so we need to correct all the things that they're doing wrong. And so I think that helps them sometimes when they go back. And now seeing those guys bring it into the first teams really gives you a lot of pride that those players are working hard enough to correct their weaknesses and going through the system to become long-time professional players.
What can fans expect this summer from the team as far as style of play and possibly even how far this team can go?
Well, that I don't know. You know, making predictions is never a good thing, especially when you're a coach. But obviously, you know, every game I coach, I want to win every game, and I know that all the players that will be on the field will want to win every game as well. So we're going to take it one game at a time. Hopefully, we can win the 3 points against Myanmar the first game, and then look at the rest of it one game at a time.
Great. Well, best of luck, and thanks so much for your time.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.